Hello everyone, and welcome to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Commander's Forge is an area for me to talk about magic, commander, mental health, whatever I have on my mind. Now, obviously, I use Twitter a lot for my podcasts, and to keep in touch with a lot of my magic playing friends. But recently, I've just seen a large uptick of magic content creators on TikTok. And, while I don't necessarily post a ton of my magic content there, it's not... It got me thinking about how we promote ourselves, how we network. So it's not all in one spot. Like, I'm terrible with using Instagram. I should get better at using Instagram, especially to promote my podcast. And I just, it doesn't click in my head to do that. But, I've had TikTok since before it was TikTok. And now I get to see more magic content on there. Cass Wiley is on there now. And he's been doing a series about the modern ban list and why they were banned. Tappy Toe Claws posted a video on there. It's just another way the community is spreading. I've met several other creators that once things are, open up again and we can go to Magic Fests and we can meet, I have a list of people that I want to meet now, on top of the list of people that I haven't seen in 3 years that I just want to give a hug to. COVID's been tough, people. Especially with this persistent headache that I've had since I had it. But you know what? We deal. I think that's about all I need for this section. Just something that crossed my mind while I was daydreaming and trying to figure out why my microphone wasn't working. But yeah, we'll be right back with the rest of our episode. Hey, did you know that for as little as $1 a month, you can help support this podcast? All you have to do is go to patreon.com/commandersforge, and that is CMDR_forge. That's it. That's all I got to say about it. If you want to help support the podcast, you can go there. Alright, and we're back. It's been a while since I've talked about my mono-white Linden deck. And honestly, it's kind of been my go-to deck this year. It's just a lot of fun to play. So I've been tweaking it every so often. And recently, that has included some additional cards. So first up, I finally picked up a land tax for this deck, which is a enchantment for a single white. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Again, Linden is still only running 30 lands, so ways to dig out lands, card draw, all good stuff. Speaking of card draw, I realized I wasn't running Dawn of Hope, which is an enchantment for 1 and a white. It says whenever you gain life, you can pay 2 if you do draw a card. I should have been running this from the beginning, and I'm an idiot. Also, you can pay 3 and a white to create a 1/1 soldier creature token with lifelink. The next one is another one I was surprised that Andy forgot to run. Andy being me. That's Bygone Bishop for 2 and a white. It's a 2/3 with flying. But whenever you cast a creature spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, you investigate. That means you get a clue that you can pay 2, sacrifice, and draw a card. While the curve is not as low as it used to be, there are still, I believe, 30-ish creatures that will trigger this. Next up we have Resplendent Angel. 1 white for a 3/3 with flying. But at the beginning of each end step, if you gained 5 or more life this turn, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance, and you can pay 3 white. Until end of turn, Resplendent Angel gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink. There's enough incidental lifelink in this deck and life gain that we're basically going to get a 4/4 on each of our turns. But if you pair this with anything else and Odric, whenever anybody attacks into you, you're going to make a 4/4. Alright. After that we have Serra Avenger, which is 2 white mana for a 3/3. You can't cast a spell during your first, second, or third turns of the game. It has flying and vigilance. Honestly, I think the real reason I wanted to put it in here is because I pulled a foil one. But it's also a 3/3 with flying and vigilance for 2. Even if I can't play it on turn 2, that's still a decent body for not a lot of cost that you can drop later. That's fine. Next up I have Comeuppance, which is an instant for 3 and a white, and it is prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and planeswalkers you control this turn by sources you don't control. If damage from a creature source is prevented this way, Comeuppance deals that much damage to that creature. If damage from a non-creature source is prevented this way, Comeuppance deals that much damage to the source's controller. So if somebody swings out at us and we cast Comeuppance, their creatures dome themselves, and if they try to burn us out, it burns them instead. Alright. After that, I have some Commander's Plate. I was on the fence about getting this for a little bit, but for Linden, it's actually just really good because, well, it's monocolored. So Commander's Plate is a single mana for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. So in this deck, it gives you protection from everything but white. It has Equipped Commander for 3 and a normal Equip for 5. To that, we have another card from Commander Legends, the War Room. It's a land. It taps to add a colorless mana, or you can pay 3, tap it, and pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity to draw a card. So in our case, it's pay 3, tap this, and pay a life to draw a card. I don't know if you know this about white, but we take the card draw we can get, right? Yeah. Alright. After that, we have a Gold Vein Pick. It is a 2 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, but whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token, and it equips for 1. So it's a ramp card. And again, white's relationship with ramp is not the greatest. After that, we have Heraldic Banner, which is a 3-mana artifact. As Heraldic Banner enters the battlefield, you choose a color. Creatures you control of the chosen color get +1/+0, and it taps to add 1 mana of the chosen color. So I added this because it kind of serves two purposes. It's a mana rock that's also an anthem. Alright, and after that, we have a one-shot of land tax. It's Gift of Estates. It is 1 and a white for a sorcery that says, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for up to 3 plains cards. Reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then shuffle. Notable difference, this one only hits plains, and they do not have to be basic. That said, all I have are basic plains. Either way, moving on. Next up we have Wingmate Rock. It is a 3 white for a 3/4 with flying, and it has Raid. When Wingmate Rock enters the battlefield, if you attacked with a creature this turn, you create a 3/4 white bird creature token with flying. And whenever Wingmate Rock attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking creature, which kind of fits in with Linden's things that want us to gain life. Then we have Krovax, Ascendant Hero. Is 4 white for a 4/4. Other white creatures get +1/+1, and non-white creatures get -1/-1. You can pay 2 life to return Krovax, the Ascendant Hero, to its owner's hand. So it's a way to protect it, and I will say the other white creatures getting +1/+1 is symmetrical, which means your opponent's white creatures also get +1/+1. Alright, now we're going to get into the higher cost stuff that I added. Things that I wasn't originally going to add, but they end games. The first one being Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite. For 5 white, you get a 4/7 that's got Vigilance. It says other creatures you control get +2/+2, and creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. So this is an anthem for you, and starts killing stuff off on your opponent's side, makes blocks bad. Like, you drop this when you have 8 or 10 creatures out, and you win the game. Then we have Akroma, Vision of Ixidor, 5 white for a 6/6. It has flying, first strike, vigilance, and trample. And at the beginning of each combat, until the end of the turn, each other creature you control gets +1/+1 as long as it has flying, +1/+1 if it has first strike, and so on for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, vigilance, and partner. Yeah, I also didn't realize that it said each combat. So if you compare this with the Odric and her, your team gets a +4/+4 boost every turn. Yeah. And then after that we have Akroma's Memorial, 7 mana, legendary artifact. Creatures you control have flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from black and red. And it is one of the few ways I could find to give my stuff haste in white. Right. And that just leaves one more thing to talk about, and that is our combo. That combo being Heliod Suncrowned and Walking Ballista. Because sometimes you just need to drop them and end a game. So Heliod Suncrowned is 2 and a white. He is a 5/5 legendary enchantment creature with indestructible. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Heliod isn't a creature. Whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control, and you can pay 1 and a white, and another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. Originally, this went in because of the whenever you gain life, you can put a counter on stuff. It's like a mini Archangel of Thune. But then it kind of got to the point of, why wouldn't I run Walking Ballista for those times when I just need to go off? So Walking Ballista is a 0/0 for XX. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can pay for it to put a counter on it. You can remove a +1/+1 counter from Walking Ballista. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So as long as you give it lifelink with Heliod, you remove a counter, it does a damage, you put the counter back on, rinse, repeat, ad nauseum. So that's the way Linden's been going. I'm sure I'll end up playing her even more throughout the rest of the year. Alright, I think that's gonna do it for today. As always, if you enjoyed it and you're on our YouTube page, consider subscribing, hit the like button. If you do, hit that bell for notifications. And I will see you next time. That brings us to the end of the podcast. I would like to thank Nate and Erica Jacobs for designing my logo, and Cody Mulphy and Ian Foss for allowing me to use a sample of music from their band The Crypt. The podcast can be found on YouTube by searching Commander's Forge. The podcast is Commander's Forge, that is CMDR_Forge on Twitter. I can be found on Twitter at BentzMr, that is BENTZMR. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time, and until then, here's to fun games and sick plays.